Alright, let's dive into something that's been making waves lately, literally and figuratively. Imagine this, oil prices are dropping, and it's not because of some random market fluctuation. No, it's because of a potential deal that could open up the Strait of Hormuz. Now, if you're like me, you're probably thinking, wait, isn't that one of the most critical choke points for global oil supply? Exactly. And what makes this really interesting is that this isn't just about oil, it's about geopolitics, power dynamics, and a whole lot of negotiation. Here's the deal. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent are both sounding pretty optimistic about a breakthrough with Iran. Personally, I think this is huge. The Strait of Hormuz has been a flashpoint for decades, and any progress here could mean a significant shift in global energy markets. But here's the kicker. Iran is considering letting European countries help clear mines from the strait. Sounds like a step forward, right? Well, not so fast. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, has to sign off on this, and that's where things get messy. What many people don't realize is that the IRGC isn't exactly on the same page as the rest of Iran's leadership. This raises a deeper question. Can Iran really deliver on its promises when its own power structures are so divided? Now, let's talk about the oil markets. Crude oil prices dropped 5%, and Brent crude fell below $80 per barrel. If you take a step back and think about it, this is a direct reaction to the possibility of the strait reopening. Traders are betting on smoother shipping routes, which makes sense. But here's where it gets fascinating. Iran wants ships to pay service fees, and Oman is in on this too. The US, however, is pushing back, insisting on freedom of navigation without tolls. This isn't just a financial issue, it's about control. Who gets to decide who sails through the strait? And what does this mean for global trade? One thing that immediately stands out is the US military's position in all this. Reports suggest that the US has used up a significant portion of its missile systems, including THAAD and Patriot interceptors. From my perspective, this is a big deal. If negotiations with Iran fall apart, the US might have to rely more heavily on manned bombing missions. That's a risky move, especially in such a volatile region. What this really suggests is that the US is walking a tightrope here, trying to balance diplomacy with military readiness. Meanwhile, let's shift gears to Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is standing firm. Israel won't withdraw until Hamas is completely disarmed. But Hamas? They're calling their fight a holy mission. In my opinion, this is where things get really complicated. Hamas spokesman Ghazi Hamad didn't even address the question of disarmament when asked directly. Instead, he talked about continuing the fight until freedom for our people is achieved. This isn't just a political stance, it's a deeply ideological one. And that makes any kind of peace deal incredibly difficult. So, where does this leave us? Oil prices are down, but the real story is the delicate dance of diplomacy and power. The Strait of Hormuz could be on the verge of reopening, but there are so many moving parts that could derail everything. And in Gaza, the conflict shows no signs of slowing down. If you take a step back and think about it, this is a moment where global politics, economics, and ideology are all colliding. Here's my closing thought. What if this isn't just about oil or territory? What if this is about the future of global cooperation, or the lack thereof? Are we seeing a new era of diplomacy, or are we just rearranging the same old pieces on the board? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Because, honestly, this is one of those moments where the world feels like it's on the edge of something. We just don't know what yet.